So in this video, we're going to discuss about how you can audit your Shopify store for PageSpeed and understand what are the places where the store is lacking, what are the places that can be improved, and how we can also improve that. In this video, we're going to discuss and cover everything. So without any further ado, let's get started. So first, let's just understand that why does this really matter, right? So first of all, obviously speed, because 1 second of delay can cut conversion rate by 7%. So let's say if you're doing 50K, then you're probably like losing around 3,500 just because you have a very slow site. Second is obviously mobile. It's saying that 77% of the e-commerce purchases are happening on mobile, but from all of our data that we've seen in most of the e-commerce store, at about like 80% are in a lot of aspects, and even to 90% in some of the stores that we have seen. So obviously it does depend a lot on mobile, and a site that is fully optimized on desktop might not be actually optimized on mobile. So obviously we need to also look into that. The third thing is SEO factors. Think of it like this. So whenever like anybody for that matter is asking a question to ChatGPT is actually making a web search, and based on that, so let's say they are searching for cars. So after searching for cars, it's actually looking at the search results and figuring out what are the, let's say, like top 10 results. It's then going into all of those results and then actually scraping those and trying to understand those and then giving the answer. But here is the problem. Let's say if your page is super slow and it's not getting ranked on SEO, then your website is probably on the second or on the third page for that matter. So in that case, the ChatGPT is not going to crawl your website. So obviously you need a very fast experience, like a very fast website, so that the SEO is obviously improved, so that your page is always cited by ChatGPT or by all the other AIs. So that is also a very important part. Number 4, ad spend efficiency. So obviously Google officially lists landing page experience, which includes speed as one of the 3 quality score inputs, low QS, direct results, and raised CPC. So obviously you can understand it has a direct correlation to it. Last but not the least, trust and bounce, refined to a resource stats. 63% of shoppers bounce when an e-commerce site takes more than 4 seconds to load. And again, this is all based on data, so these are not any numbers. You can just again search for them, and like you can see that these are like official numbers that are reported by industry experts, and like obviously, for example, like Google for that matter. So obviously it has a lot of value. So let's next understand what are the key terminologies that we're going to use. Okay, next try and understand what are the key terminologies, and we're going to use it throughout this video. So let's just quickly have a glance through them. So obviously on the left hand side we have the abbreviated versions, but let's just understand. For example, first one is the largest content paint, which basically means what is the biggest thing, how fast is it loading. It can be either an image, it can be text, it can be both actually. So how fast is the largest content that is there, that is loading. Second is the interaction to first paint, like how fast your website is reacting when somebody is tapping on it. So for example, there's an accordion, you just click on it and it takes like 5 seconds for it to open up. That is what we are seeing over there. CLS, or cumulative layout shift, which basically means that whenever a page is loading, you might have seen, for example, like there have been a page shift that is happening. So for example, on the page load, there was no element on top, but all of a sudden an announcement bar came over there, which is like shifting the page down, like a bit down below. So obviously that is the CLS. Fourth goes time to first byte, which is how fast the server is responding. We have just put it over here just for the sake, like whenever it comes up. But again, it does depend on, like, because the whole ecosystem is handled by Shopify, you don't have a lot of control over them. You do have some control when it comes to like third-party apps, but again, it's very restricted. The second last is the FCP, which is whenever, like, whatever app appears, when anything at all appears in the first appears. So that is the first contentful paint, and lastly, total blocking time. That is how long the page is frozen and won't respond to. So this is basically, you might have seen a lot of people talk about JavaScript and JavaScript getting rendered, or the script evaluation is happening. That is what we are talking about in TB. Next is quickly analyze what are the tools we will be using. You might not be using all of them at the same time, but again, it's good to have them in your arsenal. So whenever you need it, you can always pull one of them out. So for example, the first one is PageSpeed Insights. The second one is called GTmetrix. The third one is called Shopify Online Store report. The fourth one is called Pingdom, and fifth one is called Lighthouse. So again, if you stick to the end of the video, I'll actually list this video down in the comment section, or in the description rather, so you can just directly grab this gamma and you can refer to it at any point whenever you need it. Okay, first come PageSpeed Insight. So this measures the mobile page like speed and gives you a performance, accessibility, best practice SEO. And recently they added agentic browsing over here. So it tracks all of them and it gives you a best what is the score of them across all the metrics. From here you can analyze that what is possibly going wrong and what you can improve upon. One caveat over here is this is based on a very old mobile, so they sometimes use Moto G4 or some similar older devices, so that you can understand that this website is going to work flawlessly across all phones. Because again, there might be certain iPhones which works much better, there might be some older Androids which doesn't work better. So obviously it tracks, it sees the performance on the lowest phone, so that whenever the customer is actually using a faster phone, it gives a much better, obviously the loading and everything goes much faster. Tool number 2 is going to be GTmetrix. It's pretty similar to PageSpeed Insight, but it gives a much deeper analysis. Maybe I'll show you one in terms of how it looks like so that you can also see, but just understand that this just gives a much deeper analysis. If I think I do have one open. If I quickly have to show you. So for example, I've done this for one website. You can see exactly how it loads, how it looks like when it's loading. It gives you that. If you go over here to performance, you can see what is the FCP, what is the speed index, what is the time to interact, and the total blocking time, all from here. Now let's say another thing that we focus a lot on is the waterfall. From here we can see that what are the files that are getting loaded. This can actually help you analyze. For example, you can see that these are not working. So there is some errors that are happening over here, right? If you scroll down, you can see that this is possibly taking a lot of time. You can see that, okay, so this is a video from what I understand that is taking 2.5 seconds to load. So from here, you can do a much deeper analysis and figure out what is exactly wrong with this website. So this is just a deeper version of PageSpeed Insight. Next is going to be Shopify Online Store report. So for any store, you can go to your store, go to Online Store, and then over here you will see. Now this is actually based on actual customer interactions. The whole goal. So just to revise one point, Google PageSpeed Insight and GTmetrix, these are based on a very low-end device, and based on that gives you what are the things that you can improve upon. But if you come over here to the Shopify Online Store, you can go from Online Store to over here. The idea is you want to see the LCP as good and INP as good and CLS as close to 0 as possible. So these are the only metrics that we are looking for. The CLS highest is 1, which basically means, let's say you have a page. If there is an element on top of the page and after the page load, it just goes to the bottom of the page, that's 1. And that's something that we don't want. So yeah, these are the 3 metrics that we will be looking at. So obviously if both of them are good and over here the CLS is again 0, it's completely fine. So you don't need to do anything over here. You can just ignore the GTmetrix and Google PageSpeed Insight. The next point is going to be Pingdom. Again, it's an alternative for PageSpeed Insight, which we are not going to it's just good to have. Same thing with Lighthouse. If you're using GTmetrix, then you don't need Lighthouse, to be very honest. Next, we come to the most important point, that how are you going to fix it? So the issue happens mainly due to these 4 reasons. After optimizing more than 20 websites at this point, these are the only reasons that I have seen for the most, 90% of the stores are having some of these, or if not all of them. First is optimizing for the fonts. I have seen a lot of times for, let's say, one single announcement bar, they either install a custom app for that, for adding separate custom fonts, or they add have a developer who add a specific font for just one section, which is totally unnecessary. Right. So maximum have 2 fonts for any of your stores. Second is going to be removing residual code from any unused app or uninstalled app for that matter. Third point is going to be lazy loading. So obviously, whenever you must have seen that whenever you're loading the page, the hero image is also loading at a very slower pace. And also all the other images are also loading at a very slower pace. Now this is happening because whenever a website gets loaded, it tries to load all the images and videos and apps at the same time. That is something that is not needed. So only load whatever is visible to the customers. Number 4 is blocking app scripts that doesn't need to be loaded in the first fold. So that might be a lot of time a shoppable video app, or some other like a form app if you have one. So all of these are generally like showed at the very bottom of the page. So you don't need to actually show it at the top. So you can just lazy load these sort of scripts. Okay. Now coming to the actual expanding on these. So expanding on each of the point, optimizing the number of fonts, limit the number of fonts to 2. Certain times you would want to add a small banner with a separate font for those use cases. Don't install another font. Rather, you just use SVG. Try to stick to Google fonts. These are one of the most optimized fonts in general. By the second point over here, I mean that just add it in something like Figma, or you can ask a designer to just add a Figma and export it as an SVG, or even an image for that matter. It doesn't really matter if that's a good sized image. You don't need to load the whole font for that, just for one heading, and you can just add it on the website. Point number 2 is going to be remove unwanted apps. A lot of times we install app just to test it out, but we don't really use it. Remove those apps. Some apps even leaves residual code, which is best to get removed. So for example, even if you remove in certain cases the apps, even after uninstalling, there is a lot of residual code that is left behind. Again, it's not a good practice from the app's end, but it is what it is. So either have a developer, or you can just copy the whole script that is there. So just go to Online Store. So this is the store, obviously. So you come over here, click on the 3 dots, then click on edit code. After this opens up, just go over here and search for theme.liquid. This file opens up. Just paste this whole file and ask, paste it in Claude and ask that what are the themes that are available over there? What are the apps rather that are available over there? And you will see that there are a couple of apps that you have possibly uninstalled, but they are still over there. So that is the main problem. So obviously uninstall those, remove those code. You can just ask Claude to remove those codes and give you the updated theme.liquid, and then just paste it. If by any chance the whole thing doesn't work and it breaks, you always will have a backup. So for example, if I just add a script called let's just add a, so if you see, I've just added this over here. You will see that there is a version, there is the original version, a new version it gets created. So by any chance, if Claude messes it up, there is no chance that your website is going to break. You can just revert back to the original and you will have the original version over here. So you can see that. Let's get back to the Gamma document. Third is going to be optimizing for images. Now this is going to be a bit technical, to be very honest. So for example, there is going to be a lot of images that are not optimized for sizes and also not compressed. So first let's understand what do I mean by optimize. So let's say if you have uploaded a logo that is 2000 x 2000, the logo size that is getting rendered is 300 x 300. So you have added much larger size, but a lot of times in certain themes I have seen that the image doesn't get optimized, and that is a problem, right? So if the image doesn't get optimized, you are showing an image that is much larger than what is necessary. Another thing is deferring images and videos that are not in view. So for example, the images that are present in the first and the second fold. So whatever is present in the first part, that is when the website is loading, and the section after that. Just keep these two sections. The rest of the images or videos doesn't need to be loaded, to be very honest, on the first fold. It can be loaded as soon as the user starts interacting with the page or they start scrolling and they are near those sections. So again, just search for lazy loading and you will find, and you can see how you can do lazy loading for these videos and images so that this loads much faster. Number 4 is going to be blocking scripts that are not needed. Now this is again going to be a bit technical, but if I show you on the theme itself on the home page. Okay, so if you can see over here on the website's end, as you can see, all of these scripts are getting loaded. Now these are all app scripts that are getting loaded, which are not needed on the first fold. So there is a way for lazy loading these scripts also, which is a bit technical, but again, you should also lazy load this part so that a lot of users don't actually they don't need these scripts to load directly whenever the website is loading. They can be loaded much later when the user actually starts scrolling or even actually need them. So that's all from my end. So if you feel like this video is helpful, let me know down in the comments. And if you want any help in terms of doing PageSpeed optimization for your store, just go to the comment section. We have added a link for our services. Just book a call and we can discuss what are the things that we can do for your store. Obviously, no commitment. First, let's just analyze your store and let us see what are the things that we can do. If you feel like it's a good fit for us, for both of us to work together, just let us know and we will start working on your store and help you improve your page speed. Thank you.